Aye, 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 oh, aye, 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 oh, Alia Cara, Amy Brown, Ethel Williams, Brett Fish Anderson, Charles Landsberg, DeValt Jacobs, Dimakatso Sedite, Esihle Lupindo, Flo Wellington, Kurata Jenketa.
Clocks the Rebel, Jacqueline Domisa, Jeffrey Hartzenberg, Jethro Lowe, Joseph Marcus Mofokeng, Khadija Tracy Higa, Kwazi Ndlangisa, Lindy Dlamini, Rufuno Kenneth Masubekele, Madoda Ndlakuse,
Masuda Mohammed, Matotsi, Fortunate Magoro, Melissa Sassons, Michelini Govender, Michael Wentworth, Miriam Gayise, Mokwe Julia Mapula, Mtunzikazi Mungwana, Mziwonke Kwesha, Nkululeko Zondi.
Pelelani Makanya, Peter Wedendal, Quinton Sotrophimus Dlamini, Ross Pozel, Sibonginkosi Neta, Sobna Puna, Sumaya Vadwa, Tebuho Mamabolo, Tato Chikudu, Tenji Wemswane.
Tietsi Futswane, Vanessa Brown, Vuyogazi Ngemtu, Kabiso Vili, Zole Kanjingila. Yes! Welcome everyone to this session celebrating the poets who came through in that tide. 45 poets' names you heard us call in the Poetry for Human Rights call for submissions in answer to this call for us to speak to what this means in our time, historically, always resonating in the present. Thank you for your presence with us in the circle. We are, I'm Malika Ndlovu, as you can see, and my co-curator, Sipokazi Jonas, is also here. And we want to clarify also, as we call out these names, that the 45 names you heard are part of a bigger tide of about 180 poets who actually submitted, and another 30 who didn't make it in time. And within a 1-month period, we had a call for submissions in response to what does human rights mean? What is the specific human rights issue or combination of issues that you feel needs to be reflected upon or made fire about right now? And from those was a selection of 45 poets whose work will come through in a publication, thanks to our sponsorship from the Foundation of Human Rights, for Human Rights, a publication that will come out at a later stage. But today we wanted to give you just a taste of the diversity of voices, of issues, of approaches that came through in the 6 guest poets that we have, and the honor of our 2 featured poets, Diana Ferris and Busisiwe Mahlangu. So thank you for your presence here. Sipokazi, tell them a bit about the process.
I think the question one might ask, Sis Maliga, is how does one cut down 450 poems into 45 poems? What does that take? Because as you said, that's quite a flood of poetry and stories and thoughts that we're receiving, not just from South Africa, but South Africans in the diaspora as well. So they weren't even just coming from within the country. And so what that meant for us as curators, and we spent some time thinking through what it is that we're looking for. And firstly was simply the poetic use of the language. I think if we're going to celebrate poetry, there must be poetry, there must be poetic use of language. But because, again, this is South Africa, what was really important for us was also thinking about the work that is submitted in our mother tongue. So we had submissions in Sesotho, Tshivenda, Sepedi, Setswana, Afrikaans, Kaps, Kuku. It was just a true reflection, or a reflection certainly, of the wealth of talent, but poetry that manifests itself in the language, that some of the languages that are at home in this country. And we hope that if this continues into the future in whatever manifestation, that we will have all of the languages, official or not, represented in this kind of project. But also we're thinking about the style and craft, the creativity in articulating the story, the creativity in bringing the poetry across. So we're looking for fresh approaches, exciting new perspectives on the work that people are actually presenting. So thinking about, it's such a big topic to think about human rights. So what is that specificity that really narrows down into what is important for what the poet is writing about, what is the poet that is thinking through, as well as the innovation, authenticity of that voice. And I know that through this session today, you're going to hear some of that on display. And it's really exciting for us to actually see that whole process come to life in the posts that you're going to see today. And really important for us as well was not to have work that was simply didactic and trying to find some moral lesson, or especially work that was offensive or perpetuating the same kind of violation of human rights that we see in action, to make sure to stay away from that kind of work. And I hope that the post that you'll hear today will show us an example of some of the ways in which South African poets are really, really tackling human rights.
Wonderful, absolutely. And just before we launch into the journey, we invite you to really sit comfortably where you are. When you experience poetry, it touches you in multiple ways. It's not only an intellectual exercise or an academic analysis exercise. Hell, it's about your whole body, your spirit, your heart. And we can't possibly be talking about human rights issues on this day without bringing our whole selves into that listening. As we speak these words, they have power, they have triggering impacts, they have resonance into the past and into the future, as much as for those who are present in this circle. So we invite you, as those who are listening and poets, as you hold the space for each other, to hold the journey in this way, a kind of deep honoring listening for the work that also birthed these poems. The way that we're going to do this is to start with one of our guest poets and then journey into 2 cycles of 3 poets from the 45 who have been selected to present here. So the journey begins. Please, Hipokazi, introduce.
Our first guest poet, I call her Mama Diana, not only because it's the right thing to do as an African child. I think I'd get into trouble with my own mother if I didn't put that prefix that shows the way in which I honor this incredible poet. I'm going to read just an excerpt of a profile, but really to think about how she's had an impact on so many of us that are doing this work. So Mama Diana Ferris is a writer, a poet, a performance poet, and a storyteller. And her work has been published in various collections, some of which have been prescribed texts for high school learners. In 2012, she received the inaugural Mbokodo Award for Poetry. And her third book, Die Vrede Kom Later, was launched on 27 July in 2019. Many of us may have encountered her work through a seminal poem or seminal work around a historical figure that is important to so many of us who think about the treatment of our bodies as women in South Africa and around the world. And that is the poem about Sarah Baartman, which has held space in a number of moments historically. But there is so much more. If you have not encountered her work, otherwise, this was the day to come and just sit at her feet as we do. And I think I'm going to make her blush. So I'll stop sharing the impact that she's had on me. And I know that she's going to have that on you. Mama Diana, we invite you into the space and we are honored to have you. Thank you so much. We can't wait to hear what you have to share.
Thank you so much for having me. Dedication for Lizzie Abrams on her 80th birthday. 14 years old and a seasonal worker, from early morning to late at night, canning fruit or packing trays. This was her life, her childhood days. For Lizzie Josephs, her mission was sealed. She would not stop till her people were healed. Collecting subs at age 21, she rested only when the job was done, working with Comrade Ray and Becky Lan, on whom the authorities slapped a ban. But Lizzie battled on like a soldier possessed, marching forward, ever giving her best. Commitment to struggle shook her family life. She had to juggle with passion, with drive, many a times dance on the edge of a knife, and amidst all the fear, the strife, keep the spirits high, force the flag of resistance to fly. She wrote the script of her own theater play, dressed comrades in disguise on many a day. She hid Archie Sebeko in Johnny Mentor's house. The name of this play was Cat and Mouse. The special branch was never amused, but they could not get Lizzie, the accused. When Rocky was banished to a farm near Vryburg, Lizzie said, "No, I won't let Rocky Mafeking go." She put Rocky and Baby onto a train, and when the special branch came, it was all in vain, for Rocky was gone, and no one would tell that she was off to Lesotho and not to hell. When Lizzie was banned, it was a terrible blow, but she put up a brave face as a show. She could not let the special branch know that her insecurity was starting to grow. However, she stayed forever strong. She knew the struggle was going to be long. Fawu, Satu, Fetso, each a name to whom Lizzie can lay a claim. But she stays in the background. Her voice is soft, but very clear sound, warns against corruption and greed, since there still are millions to clothe and to feed. We hail the woman from the Pau Valley, a stone so precious and so rare, not to be found anywhere, a jewel we treasure and revere. Nana, so close to our hearts, so dear. For younger, whilst weeping at old graves, I find myself at fresh ones, of those I did not know well, but whose hearts crossed mine. Now it's younger, the dancer, the singer, the young man of Nyanga, who could dance, fly, who was sharp-knifed into the sky. He will not come down to land, legs crossed, leaving the audience wordless. He will not bow to the applause, run backstage to hug his fellows. He will not rush to the station to catch the earlier train, knowing what the late one signifies. He will not. Oh, I must feel him, must hear he cries before the soul in me dies. My mother was a storm, a sky filled with dark clouds. She could threaten or just burst open. She gave warnings before she lashed, a thundering tongue uprooting old dead trees, theories. My mother cleaned with an iron duster. She swept away all dirt and falsehoods. My mother risked having a name tarnished, but could not be tamed. I did not want to see her rain down so freely. She had to stop before it became too wet. I feared a drowning. I feared those floods that had me gasp for air. I thought my mother was too intense a winter. No, knew that she carried a summer, but one in which flash floods hid. Oh, but how I longed for that storm now, a fierce and all-encompassing one, these days in which hard rocks bash, tear at skin and soul. I wish my mother could enter the sky and with an angry wind gather the clouds, rain down hard and dissolve those rocks still so intact, so smug. Today, I need my mother. Songs I never sang for you. I never sang you a love song. I always thought it were in my steps. As it came running to you, I thought your widened eyes and your sideways smile were good enough music between us. I brought gifts you displayed. There was a rhythm in your voice, a pitch I recognized, a sweet note I savored when your eyes were dancing. But today, I wonder if you could tell that I was an alto, that I could float between soprano and bass, and that deep in my heart, I carried scales, choruses, and solos, songs I never sang for you. Saartjies cry. Oh, mother, I'm not me. My soul has been lost in this journey. Here where the clouds hardly leave the sky, the sun never appears to kill the light. Oh, mother, it's not just my soul they've torn apart. It is my very heart. They call me savage. They call me whore. They call me names I haven't heard before. It's only in the dark of the night that the drink in the bottle makes my body all right. In my dreams, I see our mountain with its foot in the bay. I see our springbok, our eland, our wildebeest at play. How we run up the hill so steep, go dive for fish in the ocean so deep, and I cringe, oh mother, I die, to think we are all caught up in this lie. When next you do the dance to our sun, please remember your forgotten one. Hold your hands high up to the sky. Send me the wings so that I may fly. The bones, the white dried bones weep dusty tears. They have been naked for 200 years. If these are the gifts that your fathers left you, if these are the souvenirs that you now cling to, if these are the medals that their victories brought, if these are the trophies for which they have fought, then show me the lines where the battles were drawn. Paint me the hills as it stood at dawn. Recount the cries that slashed through the night. Disclose your reason for that one-sided fight. If logic is the law that we live by, if evolution made our fortunes multiply, why do you hold on to bones that cannot talk? Is it with their pain and agony with which you wish to walk? If abundance is only found in the grass-green fields, why hunger for crops that the scorched earth yields? The white dried bones weep dusty tears. They have been naked for 200 years. And I want to end off with the last one. It's going to be in Afrikaans, and it's a dedication to a friend of mine, a childhood friend, who was in the struggle on Robben Island, who died 3 days ago. Sissel Esau. Ek het een hand gehuil oor jou, vir Sissel Esau van Woester. Ek het een hand gehuil oor jou. Dit was die 80's. Die partytjie was vol lawaai, met nie te ver van daar die onluste polisie. Op wag met traangas en geweer. Die wyn het geloop, maar ons kon nie, toe sing ons maar. Vryheidsliedjies en love songs en stilte. En toe iemand jou naam noem, so nonchalant aankondig, dat jy die vorige week gevonnis was, en lang op Robben Eiland gaan sit, het ek gehuil. Want jou drang na vryheid, geregtigheid en vrede, het my net totaal oordonder. Skaars 14 jaar oud fiets jy. Met die revolusie in jou kop, slaan jy tent op by ander tieners, vertoef met groot mense, en miskien het hulle, wat gehoor het van jou, gedink, dit was maar net 'n fase. En nou wanneer ek aan jou dink, flits jou fiets jou vegtersoog voor my. Ja, ek het een aand gehuil oor jou. Thank you very much.
And in this silence, as we give thanks for that gift, Sister Diana, we invite the next three poets to make their offerings. We won't interrupt the river that they will flow one into the other with. First, we invite Mtunzikazi Mbongwana, then Tato Shikudu, and then Khadija Higa. Mtunzikazi.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Andy T. I can sleep for you, always. My poem is titled Manono. It's from the upcoming book titled Unamuena. Please be in the lookout for it. Manono saza lokufama kafender. Mama wemkanelori ezithutha umbona. Utamkhulu nomakhulu basebenza efama. Bandiphethelela ngoloyiko, bandifundisa uginya ilahle libomvu ndikuqhelile ukutya isirhogolo. Umakhulu wayeqokelela amathambo ukwenza isuphu kumkafendera. Utamkhulu wayehlwayela intsimi kafendera. Umanono yintombi endala kaEsther. UEsther uthengisa ubisi lweenkomo zikafendera. UFendera umungunya ubisi lukamanono emabeleni kaEsther. Umanono ufike uwestebele kufendera, ibhulukhwe emfutshane kafendera kubele emaqatheni. Umanono uncanca amabeleni ama, ndiyikhumbula incasa yobisi lukamama. Amazinyo ethu axhaphe imivungulo yenyaniso. Yaziwa ndim nawe into esayibonayo. Imilenze katatomkhulu kumlomo weteletele kafendera. Umlomo kafendera kubudoda bukatatomkhulu. Iintsula zikafendera zirhiphilile buboya. Ibhulukhwana kafendera emadolweni. Udano lokuchitheka kobisi lukaEsther. Ingxelo yomfiliba emapoliseni isithunzele esilila iinyembezi zikamakhulu. Utshikolo somcofa impundu. Xa singalidudla olucango sakutshela apha. Iinkumbulo zam kumakhulu ziintsomi. Andiphuphi ndiyaphila. Akalibelanga uyadukudelisa. Ndineqabaza legazi kwilokho yam. Emlindweni umalume unxelile. Isidumbu asingenanga emnyango. Inyaniso ixabe emqaleni kamakhulu. Imithandazo yethu nayo ayihambanga. Sihleli ecaleni kwezithunzi zethu. Siziqaba ngomsizi ukuze inyala lingaduli. Siphila ngokuziyoba. Sixaxamisa ixesha, sizixhome kumnga wesazela, siyakrwitsheka, sithe ndwanya amehlo, asifanga siyathunzela, sivingcelwe ngumbilini. Sityatha abatyala abazali bethu. Lo mqokozo yasityabu. Enkosi.
Thank you, Mtunzikazi. That was powerful. My name is Tato, and my poem is titled On Alcoholic Mothers and Fatherless Girls. She doesn't know that the men she brings over to the house every night for Thursday night for shots of vodka always overstay their welcome. She doesn't know that they're not there for her. I don't even think she knows them on first name basis, but you know where they live. Somewhere in the darkest wounds of the night, you can see it in their eyes. The way they lick the air around you as if heat seeking for your warm body, you man-made artifact. You are a proverb scripture written in Braille, and all these men wish to lay their hands on your body. She doesn't know that you are a woman now. All these strangers stopped giving you sweets after 13. They no longer ask permission for what's theirs. I don't think your mother knows that you know that you are the real reason why the lights are still on in the house. Thank you.
I'm going to tell you the story of TOW. And this is dedicated to 3 people. This is dedicated to Christina Francina Higa, died at the Cape in 1836, labeled lunatic. My sister, who passed on the 30th of January this year, and Comrade Cecil Isau, who passed 3 days ago. TOW. TOW. TOW means blood in Khoikhoi. Blood is tricky. Blood is defiant. Blood is contradiction. It messes the historical rule with the exception, fouls the air where identity equals one bloodline. Once upon a time at the Cape, someone distilled your roots down to rape, managed the magma and roughage transported on rivers and seas across stone and sand to this thing, colored. It doesn't carry sweet in the name. Colored means secret, means better, means worse. We live in the great sea of old ships with bloody secrets chained up in silent memory. We live in the great absence of Kam, Khoikhoi, illegitimate stories about the Amakasa and all the Nguni. We live in the great mouth of too many roots in a place where the lie has become the truth. The lords of history have cutthroat passions. Colored. It comes with a debt too hefty and a tide that carried no good blood in it, they say. 190 bloodlines fail truth in the present, and the Stone Star watches as our children devil their eyes with divide and rule. Colored TOW, the blood of untimely history. It is a woman spread legs akimbo across Buren and Katzenel and Boergen. She murmurs from the clouds the name Kamisa. She's a devastated monologue on a ghost river tongue, salvaging the riddles of Kam and Khoikhoi. She is many skins of the Kamakwa. She's Kamakwa, greeting the stolen, the buyers, the truants, the travelers of land and sea. She's Kamakwa, steeping rivers of blood in the Kruma, the indentured. She's Kamakwa, swaddling the drifters, the maroons, the Manilas, those refugees of labor. She's lavishing the many, the needy, the hunted, the lost, the freed. She is Bengalese indigen mix. Her name is Angela. Her name is Anna, daughter of Angela. She arrives, flavored with a smell of nil manel plucked from the fields of Sri Lanka. She's a trinket, stolen from the Kampong Maiji, offering to the ocean where nothing returns. She's China, compassing the Indian Ocean in ages before colonies. Some 960 years AD, in the times of Song and Lao, Chinese feet touched this eastern coastline. She is Krotua. Her name is Horokwas. Her name is Autshimaho. Her name is Sana, Susanna, Peternella, Johanna, Amuzain, Nzinga, Elsie, Zara, Christina. Her name is Angola, Timor, Japan, Cirebon, Ethiopia. Her name is unknown. There will be no gravestone. Colored. It is the tide that rolled in from every side of our great mountain and river, collecting blood and words set in the stone tablet of Hurikwaho. It is the story of you and me before and beyond. From the cradle circle of the TOW2021 to the Keskama, come the feet planted in the soils of many places. Come the children of Kuikaip, unburdening stories aggressive with greedy history and the stink of dirty pure blood ideas. Now the time is here when the parrot of lessons learned will speak unburdened truths into wombs. This is a story as old as all stories. As we shake the devil from our eyes, this is the Amma. Freedom walking strong across centuries. Come the children of Kuikaip. We are a multitude of voyagers in blood.
Sure. Thank you, all of you so far who have led us to this point in the river, in the flow. And for those who are also adding their responses, the ripple effect of what you're saying is reaching out to people who are commenting in this chat and also on Facebook in gratitude and in awe for what it is that you are giving us. So deep gratitude for that. At this point in the journey, I want to invite Busisiwe Mahlangu, our featured or guest poet. And what I want to say to you, Sisi, is that I have watched you for a long time. And for me to hear that you are the winner or of this inaugural National Poetry Prize just gave me a ripple of joy. Because you express for me, I have seen you over time on different platforms, some that I've hosted and others that I was just a witness to. And there's a beautiful, courageous vulnerability about what you do that we need so much of. It is not easy work, this work of poeting, or of pulling back layer upon layer for the benefit of others to really connect. Thank you so much for your presence here and for the gift of what you are about to share with us.
Thank you so much, Malika. I'm gonna start with the winning poem. I Wear Mother's Bones, that's the title. I fit Mama's clothes when she goes to work. I fit into the dances she had in them, into the panic of walking the streets at night, into the making of a home that would not hold. Her favorite skirt is striped black and white, the lines pointing to her feet like a whisper, saying she must run. Her favorite blouse is blue. She was beautiful in it before it became a mouth swallowing her ugly along with her life. This one outfit, excused from scraping the floors and raising white children, saved for Sunday's gospel and prayers, begging God for answers. To look like Mama is to look like sacrifice. Only a corner in the drawer to keep all her things, while Baba fills the whole house with himself. The mirror says, I am drowning in a sweat. I twirl in amazement. Mama's life is so beautiful, I can die in it. If only death could tell me what made her laugh, made her happy with less, made her stay when she could run, made her wear a blouse to watch herself drown. I want to tweak the size with a needle and thread, but she will know that I wear her life when she goes. Gonna be sharing the next poem. Umalisoni lang zoqale ngamalahle yezinkuni nangomlilo. Uma lishona libomvu ezansi lisithele ezintaba ezizoqalele elivutha ubusuku bonke. Ubumnyama buzozithoba. Lo mhlaba uzofunda ukuthi nezinkanyezi ziyakhula otshanini. Phakathi kwamabili, umhlabathi uzokhanya njengesibhakabhaka. Izimpisi nezinyamazana uzoswela ugodi losithelo. Biza la madoda ayizilwane, isigwebo sabo sibalindile. Biza namadoda angenacala, isigwebo sabo sibalindile. Ukuthula kwabo kuyicala. Ngendlela bavala amehlo, bafihla izindlebe, bagoba amakhanda ngayo kuyicala. Biza umongameli, inkosi, umphathi sitolo. Uzophawula ukuthi lesihlalo asinagazi. Lo mphakathi uzobhidliza iqiniso elingaziwa. Amanga ayagqilaza umphefumulo. Ungalifihla lamampela, kodwa uzothi uma uzama ukukhuluma, uvele ukhonkothe, uhambe njengeza. Isikhumba sakho semvu siwele ethuneni. Ulindeni ungakhulumi. Ulinde ithuna elinegama olaziyo. Ulinde kufe bani. Konke okulahlekile kuzobuya. Bonke abalahlekile bazobuya. Zolotha lelanga, izinhlungu zishe, izinhlungu zibe yize. Ubumnyama obunyonyobayo buzokhanya. Lo mphakathi uzokhanya njengesibhakabhaka. Uzofika la usifise khona. Thank you. Today, as we are observing Human Rights Day, it's actually, I look forward to the days when we experience this day and we don't have to dwell on the rights that we don't have. I envision a time when all our rights are here in our hands and we can hold them and we can live our lives without worrying about lack. But that time has not yet arrived. And so every time we observe Human Rights Day, it will be Human Rights Day for the rights we don't have. And right now, also what's happening in the whole country with the schools, access to education always being denied, also dying for education is something that never seems to change. We make 2 steps forward and 100 backwards. So I'd like to read this poem as solidarity to that. A revolution doesn't ask for permission. A protest is not bodies dancing in smoke. You can draw a line, but we will tear down the limits until only oceans remain. We are here for the education we were promised. We are here for the education we were promised will change us. On campus, a grass of rubber bullet shells grows, not for our safety, but for the protection of the institution. I am ordered to show my student card at every turn to prove that I am not a criminal. For the protection of the institution, I am told. After police keep their commands into flesh, after students are jailed for singing, after we are killed for speaking, for breathing, for existing, after all the blood here, the institution is safe, has been standing through all the times it shuts its doors at our mother's dreams, at our dreams, but we are here for the education we were promised. The water is boiling. Once you make some tea, my baby sister will ask, with lightning striking from her chest, carving anger, her throat filled with trumpets screaming, because the truth will always be a lie. If not a lie, then it will always be a knife cutting through her heart. Outside, the water has been eating flames for more than an hour now. Our fire is a phantom star about to close its eyes, but we have to keep the fire burning. The wise men might miss the stars, but the flames will let them know that we've been waiting on God for years. And we've been waiting on God. My sister is 7. and I am 11. Our house has been standing on our young shoulders for years. The August wind that bumped on the side of our home, our shaking set is now handicapped on frozen wheels, not moving. We cannot afford to move. So we wait and hope that those who can will find us here. I hope you find us here. But when you do, please do not ask us to dance for you. We lost our legs to the cold. Poverty ate away our feet, so we don't follow the footsteps of our parents. You want to know why our food is always dirty? We plant our fingers on wet soil to grow extra hands to put food on the table. We cannot offer you a glass of water, but you can take our sad faces for yourself. We don't chew bones and the viscera. There are pieces of our broken selves lying everywhere. You might choke on our blood or stumble on a rib cage, but don't tell them that we are dodging death every evening, that the candle watches us with caution. The dead bodies that have bent down with our squatter camp will beg us to wake. Wake up. Why won't you wake up? Because we are scared of drowning. There is a hurricane in the kitchen cooking up a storm. I did not come to this stage by choice. I was swept by the tide while sleeping, and I've been sleeping for too long. I don't want to wake up because I'll have to watch myself die if I do. Tell my sister that I cannot change water to tea. Tell her that your steps, that tell my sister that I cannot change water to tea. That all I got are snaps and applause when all I was asking was a loaf of bread, when all I am asking is a loaf of bread. A mother in your pocket, a father under your jacket, salt in your hands. Now what about that loaf of bread? I don't need it anymore. My body has built a home out of hunger, is standing by the side of the robot saying please, because maybe these words, maybe these stories are worth nothing when we tell them ourselves. Thank you so much for listening, and thank you for having me.
There was an experiment that was done that showed that when we listen to music, it lights up different parts of the brain. Just listening to poetry today, I feel it light up different parts of my body. It's speaking to more than just a cerebral experience. I'm feeling, it's not just goosebumps, it's lighting up. Busi and all the poets that have already spoken, thank you for speaking to those parts. Thank you for triggering that light and that experience, that bodily experience. Going to invite Jacqueline, Vyokazi, and Jethro to take us home.
Thank you. Just a little bit of context for my poem. In 2018, I was lucky enough to be invited to a playwriting festival in Washington, DC, and the year before to a theatre festival in Helsingborg in Sweden. And in both of those cities, Helsingborg and Washington, I walked a lot. With the exchange rate, I couldn't afford to take taxis. So I walked between the hotel and the conference venues and the theatres and the restaurants. And that ability to walk safely in a city at night was an unfamiliar feeling for a South African woman. And I wrote this poem when I came home. I wrote it reflecting on that experience and thinking about my daughter. I'm sure it must be true for most parents, because it certainly was for me, that when I became a mother, my a sense of my own fear, my fear for my own safety shifted. I was no longer as afraid for my own safety, but for my child, I was terrified. And I have survived, and I imagine I could survive many hard and difficult things, but the thought of my own daughter having to go through any of those kind of things, I'm not sure I could bear them. So my poem. On returning home, for Nosipho. It is raining. It is raining in this city. It is dark and it is late. The train pulls into the station. She rides the escalator up out the subway. She pops the umbrella. It is late and it is dark. She walks. She walks lightly. She walks nightly. She walks the several blocks back to the hotel. Footsteps behind her on the sidewalk. She does not dart a glance over her shoulder, feel her neck and jaw stiffen, suck shallow gasps between tight teeth. She does not taste the sour metal grit of fear as she would at home, as she would in the place that she was born. In the place that she was born, the earth is red, iron in the ground, iron in the blood. In the place that she was born, the streets are hot, ignite quickly. Sparks start angry flames. The dusty streets of pain, incendiary, inflammatory, burn with an ancient heat. Inequality, indignation, impatience, injustice. The child was 4 when her brother died. She was 4, and she called her mother back, called her back from a dangerous edge of grief. She was 4. Mama held her close, listened to her breathe. So many nights Mama watched every precious breath the child took. She wanted to hold her close. Always. Stay home, stay close, stay safe always. She was 4. Now she is grown. Child, woman, woman, child. She is grown in the place that they were born. In the place that they were born, the earth is red, iron in the ground, iron in the blood. A woman in the dark better be alert, better be attentive, better be afraid, better not be alone. Stay home, stay close, stay safe always, child, woman. I hold you close, baby bird, chickadee. But one day you will walk. You must walk. How will you walk lightly? How will you walk nightly in the place that we were born?
As we welcome Vuyokazi in, I just wanted to resonate with what Sipokazi had said about the lighting up, because in this chat, as well as the comments that are being fed into it, I am lighting up, feeling the impact that you are having, the deep appreciation, the devastation, the resonance as people remember aspects of their own journeys, of things they couldn't find the words for, that you are bringing to the surface. Thank you. So we continue with you, Vuyokazi.
Thank you, Sis Malika, and to Jacqueline before me, and everyone else. A new DJ has gone viral, infesting the airwaves. Weirdly, he's not turning tables, but pressing the right buttons. Trending is Pied Piper, blowing white Monopoly capital, no gag reflex. So many followers. Jesus in a shiny suit. Claiming revolution, speaks left, walks right. Slick jive, catchy lyrics. We sing along. Turn up that volume. Silence the protesters. Tumamin. Mzansi is a dingy nightclub, packed to the brim. Sweaty black bodies hungry for change, drunk on promises. Tattooed with the scar of a recent past. Skinny jeans economy, stiletto walk sensitivities. Flashing nervous smiles, jiga-majiga moves. To a loud song with rubbish lyrics. But the VIP section is lit, however dim, and the blessers have a hot boy on their lap. He jogs, so he's got endurance. Won a twerk championship in 2017, what an ass. This one has good manners. Takes it without protest, makes the right sounds, such finesse. Oh yeah, who's your daddy? Lonman. I said, who's your daddy? China.
Sister, since you are doing the DJing, we missed the beginning of this potent piece. Take us into a replay, asseblief, and keep your mouth towards that mic. We missed. Please. Here we go.
A new DJ has gone viral, infesting the airwaves. Weirdly, he's not turning tables, but pressing the right buttons. Trending, this Pied Piper, blowing white Monopoly capital, no gag reflex. So many followers, Jesus in a shiny suit. Claiming revolution, speaks left, walks right. A slick jive, catchy lyrics, we sing along. Turn up that volume, silence the protesters. Tumamin. Mzansi is a dingy nightclub packed to the brim. Sweaty black bodies hungry for change. Drunk on promises, tattooed with the scar of a recent past. Skinny jeans economy. Stiletto walk sensitivities. Flashing nervous smiles, jiga-majiga moves to a loud song with rubbish lyrics. But the VIP section is lit, however dim, and the blessers have a new boy on their lap. He jogs, so he's got endurance. Won a twerk championship in 2017. What an ass. This one has good manners. Takes it without protests. Makes the right sounds. Such finesse. Oh yeah. Who's your daddy? Lonmin said, who's your daddy? China.
You, hey, Brother Jethro, she has whipped up the dust. Take us into a trance and dance and sing asseblief. Thank you, Woyokazi, for take 2.
Prachtig, juffrou. So draai die wiel en so 'n spinny kork op die ooppad met 'n reguit en 'n een rotating force. So sirkel ons. So skepe in die hoë gety. So het die wind ons verskillende rigtings ingery waarheen weer ons vind. En emosie ons beweeg. Daar doop die dag ons kinders van die wind. Oor wyd uitgestrekte vlakte, want ons siele is dors. Daar heers 'n kulturele droogte soos 'n vreemde vors. Man, dis vreemdelinge en hulle los. Dit hang oor ons lewens soos 'n sunset clause. Man, sonder pause, sonder pause, so eet hulle ons. Man, net een view. Mense, net een blik. So beskryf hulle die distrik waar die sanksies nou al reeds vir jare druk. Mense in 'n trance, dans en sing. The sun keeps on circling. The moon, the mantis and the broken stream comes together like a dream within. Man, jare van hartseer en verdriet laat nou 'n ding van lag en kaart skiet. As die wortel tot hop op 'n ancient beat, daar by die berg and the oceans meet. Die windmeel se gedraai kan jy nou van pynlik splei. Dit is 'n geneel en 'n gekerm wat die nood besy. En laat heen weer los 'n chaos. Man is 3 dae oue mos. Oral waar die klipkop reintjie staan, daar die koppe tussen die klove. 'n man se naam, die wind, weet daarvan. Het gesels saam met 'n treurspel wat die windmeele beaam, maar sonder blaam loop die kraan. Want die sirkels van die lewe, die bring net water aan. Thank you very much. Thank you, ladies.
I think before Sis Maliga wraps it all up and thanks the people that need to be thanked, one might ask what's the relevance of poetry to human rights, and I think back actually to Mama Diana's poem.
Apologies, I feel like I lost my connection there.
Hi, Sissy. So I was just saying, I just remember the impact.
Thank you, Jethro, Fuyokazi, Diana, Khadija, Jacqueline, Tato, Usisiwe, Mtunzikazi. Thank you. Sipokazi, you were saying, did I come over you now with technology?
No, it's all right. It's all right. That's the co-creative process.
It's one flow.
That's what, I was just thinking that in terms of the relevance of poetry to human rights, I just want to make reference to the impact of one poem, and that's Mama Diana's poem that not only helped in bringing back Sarda Batman, in bringing her home, but was actually influential in legislation. So think about poetry being written into law. And so if we ask ourselves whether poetry can move anything, that is only one example that we have. And I think for all of the poets that are on here today, and for the 45 that were shortlisted, but for the 100, and my math scale, there's a reason I didn't study that side, but 180 minus 45, 100, all of the poets that submitted, the poets who thought about submitting, but maybe were feeling and comfortable, when sure about their own voices, poetry can move things that need to be moved. So thank you so much to everyone. Thank you so much. See, I'll hand over to you.
Sure, I absolutely just want to echo what Sipokazi is saying in terms of the tapestry. It has been such an honor for us to receive that many, 450 responses of poetry, 2 or 3 per person. The breadth of languages, but something that also particularly excited me was that we had as young as 16-year-olds to 60-something-year-olds, and that's a rare thing. And what we've tried to do even in this session is to keep the idea of the spiral or the circle, even the way Jethro closed for us was about this wheel that continues to turn, that turns, the turning and turning, turning and returning. Because there are things from our history that are very much in our bodies, aching in our bones, but things are not static, as Sipokazi is saying. Legislation catalyzed by poetry, hello. And the GBVF, the amount of content that we had, graphic, traumatizing, bereft poetry, purging this pain of GBVF in our country was something that was also quite outstanding in the breadth of what we received. And so poets are not keeping quiet. We want to thank the sponsors and the supporters of this project because they understand that we need a level of support in order to do our work. And there needs to be not just come up to the mic or come onto the stage or give us your poem for our book and let that be enough. There was a small but honoring exchange of energy that said for every single one of you who got into this 45, and for the 6 that are here or the 8 that are here, we honor your contribution, not just in words, but in some small token that says you deserve more, you are worthy of more. And this is how this indigenous treasure of poets and what we are contributing to our cultural heritage should be valued and understood as activism, as social healing and transformation work, as education work, as heritage work in terms of writing histories that would not otherwise be told, as documentation and remembrance work. We call the names of all the 45 poets that you couldn't see because we want to honor all of them. Your names matter. We do not forget your names. A lot of the poems were about the recollections. I won't say their names because for me, if people have passed, it's not a casual thing to just say. So, but there were names that were called up, tributes and honoring of the lives lost, the legends who opened the way for us, and your names matter, and we remember your names. And thank you for everyone who's been in the online space as well, because the nature of how you're responding to us says you were truly listening. You were truly present with us on this journey. And as you take these poems with you, be kind to yourself. Take care of yourself, because they are not necessarily light, but they do carry a power like that kicking up of the dust as we hold and circle together. Take these poems and tell other people about them, quote them. I saw some of you also giving live quotations out of the mouths of the poets. Yes, amplify. Yes, this is what we can do for each other. It costs nothing other than an act of gratitude to take it further. So thank you so much. We are so excited to be telling you about the upcoming publication. So this is just one cycle that has, well, it's cycle 2. We called was cycle 1. The tide came in. We selected cycle 2 and celebrated with you here today. And cycle 3 will be in the next few months, a publication of the 45 who were shortlisted. Special thank you to Sister Diana Ferris and Busi Mahlangu for your presence today and the generosity with which you shared and anchored us. Thank you for your presence in the circle. I also want to say thank you to the University of KwaZulu-Natal, the Center for Creative Arts that has brought us the Time of the Writer Festival and the partnership with the STAND Foundation and the Foundation for Human Rights that allowed us to create this project, or to co-curate this project, and to have this beautiful evening together. I'm so full. I'm trying to keep my breath flowing. My heart is full. The French Institute of South Africa is also a sponsor of the Time of the Writer Festival. We want to also acknowledge the National Institute, NIHSS, National Institute for the Humanities and Social Sciences, Amazwi Museum for South African Literature. We acknowledge also Imbiza Journal for African Writing, who is the media partner of the Time of the Writer Festival. And please, can we have some halalas for Hear My Voice technical partners extraordinaire? Mo Africa Mohati, Wamati Ismail Sibia, Pomolo Sekamoto. Yes, you are doing this work in multiple ways for the poetry sector. Thank you so, so much for your patience and professionalism always. And finally, I'm going to see if our guest from the Foundation for Human Rights is here for one final thank you. No? Okay, then this is the way it ends. Thank you so much. Journey well, rest well, poets, for all you have given today. Look forward to seeing you again.